Early this morning, you might have missed it, but the government shut down for a few hours. Congress was able to agree on a bipartisan budget, but yet again, it only funds the government for a short period of time. The new deadline is March 23rd. The shutdown was actually not a result of any partisan bickering. It wasn't about DACA. It wasn't about the wall. Actually, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky held up the vote because he was concerned with the level to which this bill would raise the budget deficit next year.
Today, the Senate will vote on a bill that will add $1.5 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years. This is a large amount of money and something that we should be very wary of. This is in addition to what we were already running debt of nearly $1 trillion. So we're adding a couple hundred extra billion dollars a year to a budget and a country and a Congress that had already recklessly let spending get out of control. The bill is nearly 700 pages. It was given to us at midnight last night, and I would venture to say no one has read the bill. No one can thoroughly digest a 700-page bill overnight, and I do think that it does things that we really ought to talk about and how we should pay for them. One of the things this bill does is it's going to add $500 billion in spending over a 2-year period. This bill increases spending 21%. Does that sound like a large amount? Anybody at home getting a bonus or an increase in your paycheck of 21%? And yet your government's going to spend 21% more without really having a full debate, without having amendments. The exchange you just watched was me asking to have a 15-minute vote. I've been asking all day. I've been asking all week for it. We could have literally had dozens of votes today, but we squabble because people don't want to be put on the spot. So the reason I'm here tonight is to put people on the spot. I want people to feel uncomfortable. I want them to have to answer people at home who said, how come you were against President Obama's deficits, and then how come you're for Republican deficits? Isn't that the very definition of intellectual dishonesty? If you were against President Obama's deficits and now you're for the Republican deficits, isn't that the very definition of hypocrisy?
Despite Paul's protests, the spending increase passed, including $316 billion in spending over the next 2 years. $89 billion for disaster relief, including for Puerto Rico. I want to get the specifics about this bill. It funds the government for 2 years and provides additional $300 billion in spending. $160 billion of that will go to defense and $130 will go to domestic programs. This was partly what Rand Paul was so angry about. He saw his Republican colleagues who lambasted Obama every day for raising a deficit spending, raise the deficit spending for an amount that Obama wouldn't have allowed. So Paul went to Democrats pleading, you aren't putting DACA in this, help me on this. But Democrats were like, well, we'll give you guys a military spending as long as we get our domestic program spending. And this speaks to the greater question of whether or not deficit spending is bad or good, because there are macroeconomic arguments on both sides. As long as the government exists, they don't have to worry about paying off debts like people do, and that's fine. But when countries and firms don't want to lend that country any more capital, like what happened to Canada in the 90s, your credit score rating can go down. Cough, cough. I'm talking about Illinois and New Jersey. I'm looking at you. There's also an issue of government debt causing less investment because those countries' firms have a bit of a replacement effect. But there's no doubt that a little deficit spending can go a long way, and it has. But have we gone too far? Rand Paul thinks so. What do you guys think? Is fiscal conservatism lost on us in this day and age? I think there are good arguments in favor. All in all, the bill only funds the government for 6 weeks. And there isn't any movement on DACA, which ends on March 5th. In other legislative news, a bill that I personally supported and talked about a few weeks ago passed. H.R. 4924, the Congressional Accountability Act, will amend this 1995 bill to reform the procedures in the initiation, investigation, and resolution of harassment and misconduct claims against members of the legislative branch. We talked about a lack of accountability weeks ago in this process. Women were making claims against representatives, and it would be quietly shoved under the rug. No one really knew who would deal with the claim, and in the end, we, the taxpayers, ended up paying for the settlements. Yes, tax dollars funded money to quiet sexual harassment and discrimination claims. If this bill passes, that will be no more. First off, the General Counsel will have to deal with each conduct claim. And concluding the investigation, he will send a report to the employee and to the office. And most importantly, no public funds will be used to pay settlements. I mean, this is amazing, and this is something that I feel like we needed a long time ago. If you think about how ridiculous it is. I mean, taxpayers have paid for thousands and thousands of dollars for settlement claims over the last 20 years. So please comment below, ask questions, tell me your thoughts. I want to know. You can also share this video and let your friends know what's happening in Congress. Follow me at Isaiah_Thompson on Twitter and I_know_creative on Instagram. I'm Isaiah Thompson, and that's all I have. Check out dailyclout.io, our website, and read some of our young writers' great content. Have a good weekend, and, of course, for the sake of democracy, stay vigilant.